Well, I guess we are on. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of High Talks. Today, we have two really special guests with us today. So we have Nathalie Nascimento with us. She is also a veteran at this in this High Talks scene. And today she is here to lead the conversation with Carlos Duarte from the University of Lisbon. And today we have a lot to talk about. I'm pretty sure Carlos and Nathalie are excited to start this conversation. And before we start, I'm sure that you are also that the ones at home are also buzzing to get this conversation on. So before we start, let me ask you, as I do always, for you to drop us a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have plenty of more content like this coming up for you, so stay tuned for that. By subscribing and liking this video, you will get the notifications for everything that we are doing on our YouTube channel, and we would also appreciate that you do so. So, hi Carlos, hi Nathalie, how are you?
Hello everyone. So welcome to this another episode, as João said, where we are discussing latest insights and, well, today's specifically about the future of digital design, development, mainly accessibility. And today is perfect because we are also celebrating the World Accessibility Awareness Day. So it's a good way to celebrate and talk about the importance of accessibility. We will have the Professor Carlos Duarte with us from the Department of Informatics of Faculty of Sciences of University of Lisbon.
It's a pretty long name.
Yeah.
In Portuguese, it's easier. People say facul, so it's easier to say like that. Professor is also work and his team. I know that you work really closely with them, the Portuguese Agency for Administrative Modernization. So I know that you are also involved in the development of tools such as Access Monitor, My Monitor, Portuguese Accessibility Observatory. So, what is all of this? Carlos is talk a little bit about, and you are also co-chair of the W3C accessibility guidelines working group on testing and conformance. So you play a key role in shaping the international standards to ensure that the web is accessible to everyone. So in this episode, we will talk a little bit about the importance of accessibility compliance, how teams can use those tools in practice, and even walk through a little demo scenario, exploring a little bit the first steps that the team can take to have an accessible product. So whether you are a designer, a developer, a product owner, stay with us. This conversation, I think, will give you a practical tools and strategic insights for building a more inclusive experience. So welcome, Carlos. I don't know, did I say everything correct about you? Did I did a good research or?
Yeah, well, welcome. Thank you for having me. It's really great. And yeah, and especially this being Global Accessibility Awareness Day, it's a pretty big date for the accessibility community. So yep, it's really awesome to be able to have this talk and to keep promoting
Yeah.
accessibility.
So, Carlos, Professor Carlos,
Carlos.
the first question, what is accessibility? Why it is so important, and why now everyone is talking about accessibility everywhere?
Okay, that's three questions. So yeah, accessibility. What is accessibility? So basically, accessibility is what we do, and when we design, develop, build products, services, environments, in fact, experiences. I think that's the best way to put it. That can be used and accessed by all people, including those with disabilities or impairments. So basically, it's about removing barriers that prevent people from using whatever we are building, be it a technology, be it a website, be it the physical space. So of course, I mostly deal with digital accessibility, but of course, I think most of us probably think about accessibility as more of a physical limitation. So I need a ramp or an elevator instead of stairs if I have a wheelchair, of course. But yeah, this is basically building our products in a way that anyone can use it, regardless of their abilities.
Yes.
Second question that you ask is, why is it important? And I think I could be here for a whole hour saying that, but I will summarize it and think of the most relevant dimensions of how we can address that. So first, it's about inclusion and equality.
Yeah.
So making sure that anyone, regardless of their abilities, can participate fully in society and have the same opportunities. And so if we don't build our products in a way that they can be used, so we are not promoting inclusion and equality. Then, and this also dives a bit into your third question, and why is everyone talking about accessibility? But I will put in second place now legal compliance. So in several countries, have had in place for quite a while already laws that require accessibility. I can think of the Americans with Disabilities Act in the United States. And of course, more recently, we as member of the European Union already have those in place. And so since 4 years ago, public bodies are required to have digitally accessible websites and mobile applications. And in 11 days, if I'm no, 1 month and 11 days, anyone that has front-facing digital product will become required. Medium and small enterprises are exempt of this, but that means that a lot of changes will need to happen to ensure that e-commerce sites, for instance, Another thing why accessibility is important is because accessible designs basically benefit everyone. And so many times, okay, I need to, why do I need to spend resources? Because people, I don't know, blind people won't be able to use my website. Of course, if you don't spend resources on making your website accessible, blind people won't be able to use it. But it's not only people that have an impairment that will benefit from it. Accessible technology is stories of people benefiting from it. And I think one that probably resonates with most of us nowadays is we all benefit a lot from captions, right?
Yes.
Not only on your TV set at home, but while you're on the subway or on the train, and you don't want to bother other people with the sound that your mobile phone does, and while you're watching a video, you use captions to read it. You don't understand the language that well, you use captions. So yeah, we all benefit from accessible technology. Captions are just an example.
Yes. And go ahead. Sorry.
Well, as I said, I can just quickly let me add innovation,
Yeah.
because thinking of accessibility as a design constraint, so a way to make your product better instead of having being something that you just bolt on at the end of development, but thinking of it from the beginning as a design constraint leads to better projects, leads to innovative projects. Voice assistant technology that we all use nowadays, the roots are in accessibility. So they were built from the community. And of course, economic impact. If we look at the disability market and we look at the numbers from the World Health Organization, I don't know what is the most impactful way to put it, but 15% of the world population has a disability. That's 1.3 million people. So it's a lot of people. It's a huge market, and if you talk to someone who has a business, say you're shutting the door to 15% of your potential clients. That doesn't make sense, right? So those are a lot of reasons why you should build your products in an accessible.
And we have those studies from European Union as well that says that 87 million of Europeans have some kind of disability. So if we don't work taking into consideration accessibility, we are excluding all and losing all of those users when our products are not accessible. So we should look to digital accessibility as a right when we need to take in consideration through all of the phases of our projects, and not just a feature that we are going to look in some part of the project and think, okay, now let me look at this and add this on my project, and everything is okay.
Exactly. And don't forget one thing: we all get older.
Yes.
And when we get older, we start experiencing symptoms of, eyesight. I need glasses nowadays. Cognitively, it's harder to remember stuff or to pay attention to something. So all of this benefits people that gets older. And that's even from a market perspective, that's a market segment that has purchasing power. So makes all sense.
Yes, and well, talking about tools and use cases, we have available for us several tools to access those digital accessibility problems to be compliant. So, and for all the experience that you have working with AMA, can you give us an overview of what those tools are and what they are used for?
Yep, sure. Uh, you already mentioned the three tools that we have developed in while partnering with AMA. Uh, I will start with the less obvious one, which is the Portuguese Accessibility Observatory. So it's not really a tool in the sense that you will use it, but it's an observatory. So it's basically a place where you go and you get to see, you get a big picture of what's the current status of accessibility in Portugal. And currently, it only considers public bodies. So you will get to understand. You can compare, for instance, what's the accessibility of hospital websites and municipalities, higher education institutions, government. So you can compare all of that. And later this year, hopefully, we expect to be able to provide there also a visualization of the evolution over time. And because we have been collecting this data for, I guess, 4 or 5 years now, so we are at a stage where we can now provide interesting timelines and see how it has been evolving. So that's more of an awareness raising tool than and something that you use as part of your work. But then, yeah, there are the other two tools that you mentioned, the Access Monitor and My Monitor. And those are some tools for you to use as part of your work. So you are developing a website for your company. So and you want to check how accessible is it? Do I have any barriers that I really shouldn't have? And you can use initially Access Monitor. I think that's the easiest one, which basically it's an automated accessibility checking engine. So you go to the Access Monitor website, you enter the URL of the page that you want to evaluate, and you wait a few seconds and you get a report of the accessibility problems, but also of the things that you did well in websites. It's not just flagging problems, it's saying this is good, this is bad. And also you have there the greens, the reds, and you have the yellows, the things that you should check manually. Why is this needed? Because currently no automated tool is able to check for everything without human assistance.
Yes.
Okay, let me give you a very simple and common example. I have an image on my website, right? For someone that can't see, that uses a screen reader, I need to provide a textual description for the screen reader to read, and so that the person can understand what is there on the website. Otherwise, you will be aware that there's an image there, but I don't know what it is about. So what we can do from an automated perspective is check if that alternative description is there.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot do is to decide if it is a good alternative description or it is a poor alternative description. Sometimes it's
Part of the manual work that we need to do, right?
sometimes we get, or a lot of times we get alternative descriptions that are the name of the file. So that doesn't help at all.
Most of the descriptions they have no meaning for the user. They are not helpful. So
exactly. Of course, this is one of the things that I do believe that probably in a shorter time than in a longer time frame, we can automate, because nowadays large language models, of course, they are everywhere. So I would have to talk about them also in here. They are really good at generating descriptions for images. They have become very good at it. So I can provide the context of my web page and the image and ask an LLM to generate an alternative description. And nowadays they do this pretty well. So I think in a relatively short time we will have integrated that instead of asking the model to generate the description, just to tell me, is this a good description or not? And I think many tools will benefit from this in a short while, and this and other problems. So but basically that's why we have there the indications that okay, you need to check this manually because I'm not able to. The access monitor is not able to. Quickly going to the third tool, the My Monitor. What is my monitor? Became needed because imagine, at our school at CNCH, our website has 1,000 pages. So imagine going through Access Monitor and entering 1,000 URLs and seeing all the reports of things that I need to fix. It's not doable, right? We have more interesting things to do. So My Monitor, basically, it's a tool that allows you to monitor websites. So you enter the URL for the website. It has a crawler, so it crawls the pages, and then it can automate the evaluation of the pages that it crawled, and makes it a lot easier for teams to monitor their websites. But the access to My Monitor is controlled by Emma. So if you want to use My Monitor, you have to ask Emma. You don't have to pay anything. It's basically just saying, I am responsible for this website. So you just send an email. I am responsible for this website. So I would like to have access to My Monitor to monitor the accessibility of my website, and they will get in touch with you just to verify that you are in fact the responsible person for that, and you are not monitoring someone else's website. But yeah, it's basically the same thing as Access Monitor, but just allows you to use it in a lot more efficient way.
Yeah. That was one of the questions that I have. And I think would be very clarifying for the audience as well. You talk a little bit about of that. It's about who can use those tools. They are aimed solely for the public sector institutions, or can private companies as well use it? Because, for example, here at High Interactive, we working with both public clients and private clients. We use them to at least the Access Monitor, you use them to educate teams, and at least they are very helpful to establish baselines. They are especially useful for front-end developers working with frameworks like Reactive, for example, and those insights are really helpful to help us understand the first steps, or if a client doesn't know how to start those evaluations, we can quickly identify some some errors or some things that they can improve, and some of them, the majority of them, are not that complex to improve. So we use that. This is supposed to be open in the future for all of the sectors, the public and the private sectors. How do you see that?
That while it has been mostly used by public sector bodies or private companies that develop or manage the websites of public sector bodies, it is open to anyone. So even a private entity can send an email to Emma and get in touch with them, and they are already receiving those. So
Okay.
it has already started, and they will grant access to my monitor to any entity. Of course, Access Monitor is available to
Yes.
anyone that wants to use it. For instance, we get a lot of usage from Brazil.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we look at the logs during the night, and we get a lot of requests from Brazil. So yeah, it's fully open, and all of these tools, they're open sourced. So you go to Amazon GitHub, and you can deploy them on your own servers if you want to. So it's everything. It's open sourced, so anyone can use them. So yep, and the private entities, because of the coming into force of the European Accessibility Act, the law that I mentioned, that by the end of June, private companies will have to follow also. Because of that, they are starting to apply for access to my monitor.
Yes, that was one of the topics that I have here to talk with you as well. That we are already starting to share. That is the European standard, how they are connected to this tool. So sometimes people could get confuse a lot of these regulations and these different names, but the European standard is based on the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So they are all, the goal of this is to be coordinated and have the same rules, right?
Yeah, that is one of the luckiest things, I guess, of working in this domain. It is, as you mentioned, the European standard, the N301549. It's basically a copy. Let me put it this way, of the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, and because that's what happens around the globe. Basically, if in Europe we have the N301549, which says you have to obey to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. You go to the US, you have Section 508, which says you have to obey to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. You go to Canada, you have the same situation. You go to Brazil, you have the same situation. You go to Japan, you have the same situation, which is great, because if I build a tool here in Portugal to check compliance with the European norm, which means I am checking compliance with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, anyone in any place on the planet can use it to check compliance. And most likely they will be checking compliance with their own legislation. So that's really one of the big pluses here, because luckily everyone is checking compliance towards the same set of guidelines.
Yes,
The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines are not the law anywhere, but they are in fact the law, because every law makes mention to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So that really is a big plus for everyone working in this domain.
Yeah, and now, well, we always have those guidelines and those regulations, but we will have these more established laws that companies should follow and be compliant. How do you think the regulation, well, or if you think that the regulation has been effective driver of real improvements in accessibility, how you think we are behaving.
That is one of the toughest questions because I always think that we can do more. That's a fact. And let me start here with raising my hand and saying we are also at fault because we, as the entities that train people, right, that teach people, we should have been doing a lot more for a longer time about teaching accessibility. I'm in a computer science department, so I should be doing a lot more to teach accessibility to my students. But I guess that now that I hope the market will drive demand for accessibility skills, we will be able to do that. But so I always think that we can do more than what we have done. And so for a long time, my answer to that question would have been more negative than positive. But yeah, I now think, and I don't know if it's because there are laws that are being enforced in Europe. I'm now starting to consider that, regulation has driven positive change in different ways. So basically, by creating these baseline requirements that are being established with the European norm and the Web Accessibility Directive and the European Accessibility Act, and so having these baseline requirements is a big initial push to get accessible products. But I do hope then this will then lead to organizations shifting their priorities.
Yeah.
And so it's going to, I do hope that it's going to move from something that it's nice to have. Well, now
For something
be nice to
have.
let's have this. Let's make this a bit more accessible. It would be nice to have, and so I think I hope we're going to move from that nice to have feature to something that's a business critical requirement, which means that business will have to have budgets and resources secured for creating accessible products. And also there's this awareness that has been growing around accessibility. That's a consequence of regulation because companies 1 year or 2 years ago they started hearing about the European Accessibility Act. What is this that we now need to do? It's creating awareness, and so now they're at the stage that they go. So AMA organizes some events for raising awareness and for training, and those events that were initially targeting public bodies and that are still mostly concerned with public bodies have been attended more and more by representatives of
private companies as well. Yeah.
So that's something. It's a consequence.
I think that creates that compliance creates accountability, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Technically, now we see more in the requests for proposals. Requirements for demanding conformance to the European standards, which will force teams to adopt accessibility testing and integrate into the design systems, into the continuous integration pipeline. So it pushes us to move from a reactive position to a more proactive accessibility and through the whole phases of the project and with the design leading and take responsibility in those activities as well.
Exactly. Let me just add something about compliance and regulation, and I wouldn't feel good with myself if I didn't mention this, because compliance is one thing, real inclusion is a different thing. So what the regulations, what the law demands is that we complied to a set of guidelines, to a standard, which doesn't mean the same thing as this is being truly accessible, because I
A lot more work to do, right?
exactly. And so it's very important that people with disabilities are involved in development processes, that companies work with organizations of people with disabilities or recruit people with disabilities. I've had some students with disabilities that are fantastic. So even from a technical perspective, sometimes recruiters might think that they can't handle what we are going to request them. That's not true.
Yeah.
You probably don't want a visual designer that's blind, but a programmer that's blind, well, I know some that are really excellent programmers. And so hiring also people with disabilities, I think it's a great recommendation. But at least getting involved with organizations.
Yeah. And try to include usability tests with users with disabilities.
Exactly.
To see how our products are going to behave with assistive tools. It's very important to guarantee that our products are robust and how they will behave in those different scenarios, right?
Yeah, exactly. That is definitely, and by having people with disabilities on your team, you're getting that for free, and from the initial stages of development, in fact. So that's really something we should look forward to.
Yes, and so Carlos, I would like to move to a more practical exercise. So we have prepared here to test our site using your tool, the tool, the Access Monitor. So I'm going to ask João's help.
Let me.
My screen.
There it is.
Okay, so the idea here is to test it and see. Imagine, for example, my boss came to me and said, "Oh my God, what are we going to do? We don't know if our website is compliance or it is respecting all the guidelines, all the standards. What can we do? I don't know how to start." One of the ways could be using this Access Monitor. It's available, as we said before, for everyone. And I'm going to use the link of our site.
It's that simple.
Came to here, put it in here. Okay, and click on validar. It's in Portuguese, but well, validate.
you have the English version. You just on the top right.
Yeah, see in English version. Okay, good. See, very easy to change it. So I can evaluate now. If I don't have a link yet to validate, I can insert HTML code directly, or I can upload a file as well to validate. So let's validate it. As Carlos was explaining before, we have several levels of evaluation in here. The red ones are the ones not accepted. So I have already here a list for importance to start working on it. So I have these 5 issues that probably were the most important ones that I would start working and try to solve them right away. Then I have those ones that I should view manually and confirm. And then I have these ones that are acceptable, but
still it's still a good practice to go over the list and really check that everything.
To be compliant with these ones that for the European standards, we should follow at least this AA. So I would start from here. And well, you can see here that we have all this list in detail of the issues that were found. For example, here, if I click on here, I can see I have a link to explain what I should be doing for this specific issue. And I have as well in here, I can see the code where is the problem as well. So I can easily, with this quick evaluation, start to define a roadmap from where should I start this automated evaluation, and then start to a manually evaluation, and start to adding other activities to improve the accessibility of our platform. Carlos, would you add anything, or would you like to share other ways, other techniques that you?
I would just like to add that we are in the process of developing an easier way, I would say, to access Monitor, which is an extension for Google Chrome that in fact would allow you to do exactly what you said without having to access the Access Monitor website. And if João allows me to share it.
Yeah, sure. Just give me a second.
And I'm going to share my screen instead of Natalie having this installed on her browser, because it's as of today, it's not available yet on the Chrome Web Store, but the process is doing is already started. So I don't know if tomorrow, sometime during next week, it will be already available. I do hope so, but because of that, I have to show it here in my development environment. So basically, it's a Chrome extension like anyone that allows you to evaluate whatever is loaded on the tab when you open the extension. So of course, because I'm going to evaluate what's already loaded on my tab, I don't need to enter a URL. So I just press validate, and I get the report here. The version that I have installed here still lacking some of the things that hopefully we'll get to the first version on the Chrome Web Store. But one of the things that that new version will have is that when I check here the list of elements for which one test was run, I will be able to highlight that element on the tab that's open to the side.
Yes, we can see visually where is the problem, right?
Exactly. It's a lot easier to identify which element is there on the list. Of course, you have the XPath of the element here, so it's also very easy to you can paste this in the Chrome inspector and pinpoint the exact element, but having the visual display over there makes it also very, very easy. It's one of the things that that we are adding, and that will be part of the extension that gets published.
That's a very good one from the Access Monitor that I use now, right?
Right, and another advantage, very quickly, is that currently you're not able to evaluate a web page that is below an authentication page. So if you have to authenticate to get to the web page, Access Monitor won't be able to get there. That is a no issue with the extension, because you follow the process, you evaluate, you authenticate, you get to the page that you want to evaluate, and then you just use the extension to evaluate. Another thing that I might add is you have the possibility to. This is also another of the things that we want to fix. I don't know why my the page is not loading, so let me open another tab. Okay, I just wanted to highlight that you get to download the report with the results from Access Monitor. CSV or okay, it loaded, and so you evaluate. So you can download your report here in CSV, but if you have a page where, for instance, you have a form and you enter something on the form and you try to submit the form and there's an error, so that there was something that changed on the page, and you re-evaluate that page,
Okay.
your report will get the information from the different states where you evaluated the page. So not just the initial, but if you are still on the same page, the report will cumulatively keep every new finding. So it's a more detailed report, in fact, than what you can get from the website version of Access Monitor.
Yeah, because mainly in forms we have a lot of interactions and a lot of errors that, well, in accessibility, it's really important to give feedback for the users that they are entering the information to complete the form. So that's really really nice.
Yep, I agree, and that's some of the things that working with AMA they really drive this development, saying, okay, we would really like that feature. Okay, let's work on that.
And Carlos, do you know when we could use this plugin?
I do hope. I don't control that. It's the AMA team that will publish it. What I do know from AMA is that they already started the process, and so I would really enjoy it if next week it would be already available on the Chrome Web Store. Of course, it does. There's also that part. It depends also on Google checking it, and so. But I do hope, if there's no big issue with the Google validation, that we can have it during next week.
So but stay tuned and wait.
Don't quote me on that.
Okay, so we saw here. I don't know if you want to share.
I think we can.
Okay.
So we saw here a lot of specific issues in this quick example, but based on your experience, what are the most common accessible issues that you see on websites today?
Okay, yeah. I always think, strangely enough, they haven't changed a lot over the years, which means that we haven't been doing a good enough job telling people to fix those. But I would possibly, let me highlight perhaps 4. The first one, it's poor keyboard navigation. So there are supporting keyboard. It's really important because it's keyboard. It's in fact a proxy for a lot of assistive technologies. So if I use a screen reader, I'm using keyboard. In fact, even if I'm navigating using a braille line or something like that. If I use switch access, so for those users with limited mobility that they can just press one button, that's a keyboard. Not supporting keyboard also sometimes makes it very hard for anyone to interact on a mobile device, for instance.
Yeah.
So not correctly supporting keyboard navigation makes it very difficult or sometimes impossible for users with visual and motor disabilities. So, and this means not only being able to focus any interactive element by using the keyboard, but also things like ensuring that the focus indicator is visible so that people know where their focus currently is. Try to avoid keyboard traps where I can't get out of a loop when I reach a certain combination of elements. So this is, I think, one of the good ones to start with. I think impressively enough, I have to still highlight missing or inadequate alternative descriptions for images. And so it's something that keeps plaguing the web, but also related to visual presentation, use of color combinations with low contrast that makes it really hard to see, especially low fonts or in environments with very bright environments. So I guess this is something that's really important. And you were mentioning forms. I would say that inaccessible forms are also very common. This means not having proper labels. And I know designers really liked having just a placeholder on a form, but that's not really accessible. Placeholders are not a good alternative to proper labels. But then there's also missing error messages or error messages that don't really explain what's going on, what the error is. Complicated validation requirements that for people with cognitive disabilities.
For example, forms that are on a model or a pop-up that are not accessible with the keyboard.
Exactly. So yeah, that combines a lot of these issues. But yeah,
And I think the visual part with the low contrast still the top offender in these kind of issues, especially with the UI modern trends like using subtle tests
exactly.
that has a really low contrast.
Yeah, exactly. That's very, very common.
Yeah, and well, moving to the end of our conversation, I would like to stay with you a little more hours.
Yeah.
But we can. So, what advice would you give to a product team or a design team that wants to start working on accessibility across all of their teams and the workflows? How?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of advices that I could keep here, but I think one way, and I think a very important step, is to start with leadership buy-in. So if you have executive sponsorship, and which would frame accessibility as a business opportunity, but also as an ethical imperative, that's really important. I think it's key for what comes next. So it's basically taking those important aspects that I mentioned about accessibility at the beginning. So it expands market reach, it improves user experience for all users. It hopefully aligns with your organization values. So if you can get to the leadership and if you can get their buy-in, it's really a very important first step. But then you can assess the current status of accessibility in your organization. That's basically run an honest audit of your existing products and compare it with the baseline that the European norm establishes. So you can quickly find or you can easily find what are the quick wins, those small issues that you can fix without a huge effort, but also the long-term challenges that you want to include in your roadmap. Build accessibility into your process. Okay, it's not something on top of it that gets thought about in the end of the development. So make sure to include accessibility checkpoints throughout your existing workflow. So This goes for user research, this goes for design reviews, this goes for development handoffs, this goes for Q&A testing. All of these need to have accessibility checkpoints incorporated. And I've also mentioned another important aspect, so I won't repeat it, which is the include people with disabilities or collaborate with organization of people with disabilities. But I think another important point is to distribute accessibility responsibility evenly.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's,
very
of course,
important.
yeah, you probably have an accessibility champion or an accessibility specialist. That's also valuable, but make it everyone's job.
It
So
should be
not just,
responsible from everyone. Everyone should
yeah,
have
not
training
just one person.
topic. Yeah.
Exactly. So designers should consider it while they're doing ideation of the product. Developers should considering doing implementation. Testers should consider it doing Q&A. It's not one accessibility champion that has to go around and check all of this.
Yeah. Yes, I can add that. Well, start with the accessibility foundations in your systems.
Yep.
Things like minimum color contrast, logical heading, extra structure. Those parts are really important. Accessible typography, interactive components with clear focus states. That's something that a really common issue as well. And well, during the design process, we can't test using those kinds of tools, but we have a lot of plugins if we are using Figma or other tools to
Exactly.
access the contrast, the accessibility, and also when you talk about this as well. When we are writing user stories, try to include users with disability. Consider the edge cases, like as a keyboard only user, I should be able to navigate, etc., etc. So to guarantee that, we can use the guidelines rules to create those stories to guarantee that all the users will benefit with a better experience at the end.
Yeah, exactly. And let me add to that. You mentioned a lot of tools that we can use to check, but nowadays you can find a lot of libraries with accessible components.
Yes, yes.
You can start from those, and then you can adapt them, you can personalize them, customize them to your brand. But it's better to start from an accessible foundation, and there are a lot of libraries nowadays.
Yes. Other thing that could be really important is we can use, for example, Figma annotations to pass information to the developers about descriptions or important interactions for accessibility that would help them when development, and take that in consideration. Don't need to go and manually review the descriptions that are not compliant or not meaningful for the ones that are going to use it.
Yes, definitely.
For sure.
João, I think we don't have any more questions to add. I don't know if you have any last recommendations for the teams, for the professionals that you want to add at the end of our conversation.
I think I've already given some of indications about how you can improve it. But one thing that I think can make a big difference is to make accessibility something personal for you. So find a way to connect to the human side with your work. So if you know someone that has a disability, try to understand how they use technology, learn from that. and if you have this personal perspective, it will make a lot more sense, and it will motivate you really to try to do something better and more accessible, and you learn a lot from them.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure. And yeah, that's it for our high talk. I just have one more question for Carlos and Natalie. But before I ask the question, I want the ones at home that stood by till the end that if you have any type of question, please drop them on the chat box. We will answer the questions right away. And if you are watching this on demand, that it is a possibility, you can drop your questions on the comment section of this video and we will also answer it. So, Carlos and Natalie, I have a question here. So, and before I ask the question, I will just say that it's a question from our community that they wanted to ask this at the end of this iTalk. And this question is, what's the best way to create a shared accessibility culture across design and development teams?
I think I'm not sure if it's the best way, but I would say to start, probably identify what would be the accessibility champions in your organization. So those passionate individuals that really focus on accessibility and that know and understand the language of design and development teams. And I don't think that's the long-term solution, but that's a pretty good way to start.
So,
And then I would say if you document your accessibility journey and share it inside the company between teams, I think that's a really good way to get buy-in and have company events with a focus on accessibility to promote it as an organizational value. I think that would make it better in the long term.
Sure.
yeah, well, I don't have anything really specific to add, but we talked a little bit before about a shared responsibility. So try to create that culture as accessibility needs to be a shared responsibility, not just a handoff issue. And one approach could be as well document accessibility requirements directly in our design, and involve developers early in the process because they have a lot of knowledge that will help us as well in the beginning of the project. Run joint audits, create accessibility checklists during the whole phases of sprints, for example, if it's a more agile approach. And well, as Carlos was saying, we can have other initiatives that help teams learn and create those cultures, like share quick wins, try to celebrate fixes, make accessibility an habit, not a burden through the process. I think that could be a good approach to start.
For sure. For sure. So, without any questions to ask you, let me give this as concluded. Thank you all for this great presentation and for the insights that you both brought to this conversation. And thanks to the ones at home that stood by till the end and really got all the insights that you shared with us. We are on an hour plus long high talk and I'm sure we have plenty content for do another one on the same subject. So yeah, thank you all. Let me just ask Carlos and Natalie to make a face for our thumbnail, so we can we can have it at the end of the video. So yeah, yeah. That's enough. That's enough. Yeah, with a peace sign. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, a peace sign. It's perfect. So yeah, thank to the both of you. Thank to the ones that watch this. As I do always at the end of this video, at these videos, please be sure to drop us a like on this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would appreciate that. And see you on the next one. So bye bye. Thank you all.